Like many of you, my wife and I love to garden on the weekend, but it doesn't come without a cost, like neck pain, low back pain, and even knee pain. And is gardening worth it if you spend a whole week in pain? Well, today I'm going to share some secrets with you of how you can prevent those injuries and continue enjoying your gardening. Welcome back to the Muscle Repair Shop. Today we're going to talk about gardening and the possible gardening injuries that most people suffer and how can you avoid those injuries from happening. So when we're talking about working in a garden, a lot of times people will get on their knees on a pad, very similar to this here. Now when they're in this position, especially when they start to lean over to do some work, what most people don't realize is that the legs here are actually supporting the weight of the torso going forward. So as I lean forward, say to pull a weed or to move a plant, then my hamstrings on the back side here are actually contracting, holding the weight of my upper body. At the same time, the quadriceps on the front side here are stabilizing so that as the hamstrings are holding, they can restrict how much movement I go forward. So I'm literally contracting from both sides of my legs here. This can lead to things like low back pain. And for many of you, after working in the gardening in an afternoon, you may go inside, take a shower, sit down in your chair, and when you get up, you notice your back is stiff. Or maybe it's the next morning and you get out of bed and it's really bad.
Well, Butch, I have a question.
Yes.
Does it help to be focused on your hamstrings and your quads while you're doing this? I mean, that's kind of a hard thing to make your mind focus on that and what you're doing, but would that help?
That is actually true. You don't really require you to actually focus on it because your body will naturally make that movement. Now, for some of you, you'll be down on a knee pad. For some of you, you cannot be on your knees because it hurts your knees. Then what you do is you shift to a small stool, and that stool may be about this height here. Now, as you notice, if I'm working here this way, I'm still leaning forward. My hamstrings are still stopping me from falling over onto my head, and so are my quads here for balance. So I'm using my legs here to literally hold up the weight of my upper body. So there's two things you can do here once you're done gardening and that you go back inside of your house. Number one, stretching out the hamstrings. Now there are three hamstring muscles there, and most people when they stretch a hamstring they think of it as just one. But lay on your back, take a yoga strap, a rope, something that's not elastic, put it around the arch of one foot, keep that leg straight. Take the other leg that you're not stretching, set the foot flat on the floor so that the knee is actually pointing towards the ceiling, and gently with your hands use the strap and walk up the strap to lift your leg. Now you're going to do 3 sets, but they're going to be different. The first one is straight up with the foot. The second one, you're going to rotate the foot slightly inward and you're going to come up on the second set of 10. The third set of 10, you're going to rotate the foot slightly outward and bring the knee of that leg towards the opposite shoulder. Once you're done with that, then you roll over on your side, take the top leg, let's say in this case it's the left leg, grab the ankle, pull it behind you, and you want to stretch the quadriceps here by pulling the knee behind your torso. Hold it for the 5 seconds as you breathe out, and then repeat that 10 times. And that's going to help stop that low back pain. So now let's get into the neck and the upper body.
Butch, I have another question.
Yes.
How do you determine which is the better method for you to use? I mean, maybe that stool's too tall for someone, maybe their knees hurt. So yeah, that's a no-brainer, but really for each individual person, how do they figure that one out?
So there's a couple of things to look at. If you have difficulty getting up and down off the floor, then a stool, and in fact they do make some stools with wheels on them that you can roll around, that can help you to continue working in the garden. But be aware that your hamstrings and your calves will tighten on you. It can lead to low back pain. So if you do wake up with low back stiffness, don't think you have a bad back. You could have actually tight thighs. If you can get on your knees, I like the pad because the pad gets me closer to what I'm working on so that I don't have to stretch as far with my upper body. But if the knees, and it could be because you've had knee replacements or arthritis in your knees and so forth, if that is a problem, I would shift to the stool and find one that's the right height for you, and with the flexibility of your hips will change a lot of that. But
what about sitting?
Sitting itself is okay, but understand that you still have to lean forward to get to the plant. And as you do that, the rotation of the hips then become important. The less flexibility in your hips, the more strain is going to be on the hamstrings, which are the back of your thighs. Again, that's not going to show up as a pain in your thighs. That's going to show up as a pain or a stiffness in your low back and hips. Okay? So let's get to the upper body here with that. That's a great question, by the way, and I know most people are interested in that. So when you come down, if you're working on a pad or you're working on a stool like this over here, when you're working in the garden, we always have to reach over to get to a plant. We're reaching over to pull out weeds. And so
Can you pull a few while you're down there, honey?
I could, but I don't want to dirty my gloves here. But anyway, when you lean forward like this, as your arm goes forward, remember that even though the pain may show up on the back side of your shoulder, the cause is coming from the outside of your chest. And that's true whether you're just leaning over to pull a weed or you're reaching over to grab a pot in this fashion. Either way, you're tightening the muscles on the outside of the chest and even into the bicep. That's going to cause the shoulders to round in, and over time can cause you to have head forward posture. So what we want to do is when we're done, we want to stretch out the outside of the chest. Now, an easy way to do that is, again, when you go back inside and you're in a doorway, take your hand, put it behind your head, rest the elbow on the door frame, and you're going to use your feet to rotate your body away from that elbow. You want to feel the stretch on the outside of the chest here. That's going to allow the shoulders then to come back up easily straight, but see, my head comes back up at the same time. If my shoulders are rounded in, my head will start to lean forward, causing neck pain as well. These are 3 simple, easy stretches that you can do after gardening that can save you a ton of injuries. I'm going to list the links to these stretches down below in the description. If you like this video, know someone that can help, please subscribe down below, share it with your friends, ring the bell so you can get notifications on new videos. Until the next time, see ya.